Good evening, or should I say good morning, everyone. This is Cliff London. I know I am back after a very long 2 months. I'll keep all that to myself. It's just happy to be back. I hope the few subscribers that I had are still out there because I'm back. Going to be changing the name of the channel to Cliff London Uncensored because maybe that way it'll differentiate between some weird ass person on there named Cliff London. And YouTube is not the safest place, so I'm learning. But anyway, I'm back, and the first thing that I want to discuss is, first of all, it is a terrible thing. Rest in peace, George Floyd. And I will say that police brutality is definitely a problem, but not the only problem when it comes, especially when it comes to the black community. But that's a different video altogether. So I'm just gonna leave it at this. All policemen aren't fucking evil. A lot of them just want to go home to their families. I mean, this shit should be just a given because it's true. But what I want to talk about is the pansy ass, opportunistic fucking thugs that took this as an opportunity to loot. You shitheads affected me personally. Made it harder for me to even get to work. And it'd be different if you actually were so distraught and you cared about George Floyd that much that you felt that you needed a fucking flat screen from Target. You were so hurt, you wanted to drown your sorrows in high definition. Go fuck yourselves. You're part of the problem. You people, like, yes, I'm saying it. You people that were rioting and looting and protesting non-peacefully, you're part of what's wrong with Chicago. A big part. One reason why I'm thinking about taking my wife and with my child inside of her and saying, fuck Chicago. Fuck you and fucking Lori Lightfoot and her bullshit. And that sanctuary shit. Anyway, back to the wannabe fucking thug opportunistic looters. See, what really gets me about this is that these jerks had their object. They had the object of their aggression. They had the object of their frustration right in front of them, that being the 4 police officers. Now, at that moment, as many spectators that were there, see, they could have rushed the dude. They could have rushed him before they even got a shot off and handled it right there. But they weren't so tough, were they? They waited till hours later to become upset about the shit. And and I've heard all the stuff too about, and please, if anybody sees this and wants to get in the comment section and talk any shit about, I don't know how it is or how I grew up, stop. I didn't have an easy life. All them stereotypes those bullshit studio rappers rap about, I lived them, save for the drug dealing and the gang shit. No, I never did that, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of it. I'm a regular fucking guy. Fuck you. Anyway, these fucks waited until they were gone and then decided to get tough and loot and riot and destroy property and destroy your own fucking neighborhoods. And I've been around long enough that I remember the news and shit with the LA riots after the Rodney King thing. I do remember more recently Ferguson. And there are also stories that my mother told me about the Watts riots. And the thing about the Watts riots, well, not even just the Watts, but all of the ones aforementioned, all of the riots that are aforementioned they all have one thing in common. They hurt the communities that they were in. You see, these people could have went to the police station and taken their aggression out there. Though I don't condone it, it just would have made more sense logically if they had did so. Because if you're mad, what you're mad at, you should go and attack, as opposed to, that's like me, basically they Debo themselves. You know how on Friday when, they was talking shit, then when Debo come around, they give their stuff up, but then when Debo leave, they act all tough. That's kind of what these people were in Chicago. Debo was messing around with somebody and they didn't have the balls to stop Debo, but they talked shit about Debo being the cops when they left. Real tough guys. A lot of these idiots were tearing up black-owned businesses, and I am so glad to see a lot of those younger brothers saying exactly what I am saying. No, they're opportunistic thieves, because all the protesters were on the other side of town. And I do want to point, and I do want to stress the differentiation. There is a peaceful protesters, rioters, and to you white liberals that are out there condoning this shit, saying the most ignorant ass shit, like, well, you just have to understand why they're rioting. They're so hurt and stressed and, fed up. Bullshit. Most of them ain't lived long enough to be fed up about a fucking thing. They are opportunistic looters. They saw an opportunity to steal shit. And from what I'm understanding, because I work downtown Chicago and I've been talking to the locals and the police and the fucking military that's out there, and most of you are coming from other states. I shouldn't say most because I don't have any numbers, so I redact that because I don't have any data to back that up. I know how people on the internet are about, having the data, which which I get, but they had the object of their affection there, didn't have the balls to do anything. But these white, then it's the most shocking thing. There is these white folks condoning this stuff. Now I get it, white folks. I get it. And I am so glad that some of you are great allies. And it doesn't mean that you are not an ally if you don't agree with this rioting stuff. I read the most stupidest comment on Facebook that said, if you speak against, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but if you speak against rioting, and if you're white and you speak against the rioting and stuff, and say you're an ally, then you're not really an ally if you speak against, if you don't agree with the stuff. Of course, it was another black person, But one thing a few things I want to point out, still sticking with this whole riot thing. What about the blacks that work at AutoZone? What about the blacks that worked at the Target? What about the black-owned businesses that probably were just getting off the ground and didn't have it like that? And by the way, Young Ripa is right. You fuckers don't understand insurance. There are a billion different kinds. A billion is a bit of exaggeration, but there is at least about 20, 30 different kinds. And sometimes they make shit up, disaster coverage, natural disaster coverage. I never heard of anybody getting riot insurance. And if you live somewhere, if you're opening a business where you have to get riot insurance, that insurance company probably won't take you, or the premium's going to be sky fucking high. So a lot of these businesses aren't these small businesses. A lot of them black owned, brown owned. And fuck it, it doesn't mean, even if a white person owned it, doesn't mean you got the right to tear it up, especially when you don't give a fuck about what it's about. There are people out here trying to eat, trying to live. You do not have the right. Part of it, again, is I blame these hardcore white liberals for excusing the shit. But I do want to give some props out to the people that actually took advantage of their Second Amendment rights and armed up and kept these fucks from messing with their livelihood. Kudos to you. Whether you be Mexican, whether you be Irish, whether you be black, but especially black. Because of for all the shit that these people fucking talk, Black Lives Matter, all this shit. They never, ever, ever address the huge problem. And that's what moments like this make me think about. Is that, these people come out the woodworks. There's one little shit here in Chicago that called himself an activist. But shit, I ain't heard anything from this guy since the Laquan McDonald shit. He just pops up. He pops up. And he's just a little angry guy on TV. He pops up, and even the newscaster was, oh, you were so intelligent. And he's not. He's a fair weather activist. Like Jesse Jackson, like Al Sharpton, these fair weather activists. You know, the fair weather activists and then the shit ass one hit wonder rappers. Why do we as black folks idolize these fucking people and follow these people? We shouldn't be listening to what T.I. or David Banner have to say about any fucking thing. We shouldn't be even asking those fuckers for directions. We shouldn't. But I guess it's, you know, but that the thing is though, as I'm gonna wrap this up, is that I actually blame my generation. Because a lot of these, and the generation before, I blame my generation because a lot of these people are out here pretending that it's the 60s. You know, I had some white dude on Facebook trying to talk to me about fucking Medgar Evers. And you should have seen all these blacks, you know, giving him likes and shit. And I, you know, it's like, yo, dude, you don't have to bring up Medgar Evers. But the point is that he brought up such an old, you know, an old name, and it's not the same. You people out there that are talking about the Boston Tea Party, you're an idiot. It's not the same thing. Those of you that justify your behavior by saying, well, white people do it too, you're a moron. You shouldn't be judging your actions off of what someone else does. You shouldn't excuse your fallacies because white people do it. Because what it really is you guys worship, and you don't want to admit it. That's why when someone doesn't think like you do, you call them Uncle Tom and all that stuff, because you can't handle somebody not being like you or not thinking like you. And that, you know, that's the truth too. You guys worship them. You know, anything that they do, anything that they say, you want acknowledgement. If one of them wears some braids, you want them to let you know that they was inspired by you. You know, fuck you. They don't owe you shit. That stuff's small potatoes. You shouldn't even be worried about it. You know, another thing I was thinking about these damn riots and stuff was like, don't these people got a job? You know, see, if they cut down on all that, if they reformed all that link and all that wick shit and made these fucking people work, you know, made them work because they didn't have jobs to go to. I'm speculating. But shit, if I was out, I'd have to sleep some fucking time. Sad state of the world. It actually causes more division. But back to what I was saying earlier, you know, it's not the 60s anymore. And I want to point out to anybody that's out there, if you're going to bring up people like Medgar Evers, Eldridge Cleaver, Huey P. Newton, number one, those guys never would have done the shit that these people did to their own neighborhood. They would have armed themselves and went down to Capitol Hill and been heard. In fact, I think that's what they did. It's been a long time since I don't bury my face in the shit every day. Sorry, I got other shit to do. But in college, I did study quite extensively. And from what I remember, they were anti-government. They were trying to make the world a better place for black people. And not these new Black Panthers. First of all, if any of you happen to stumble by this video, those of you that call yourselves the Black Panthers and you think that you're the Black KKK, you can go fuck yourself. You can go stab yourself with a dull spoon because you should change your name because you are a disgrace to the original Black Panthers. And I'm not fucking scared of you. You are a disgrace. You are nothing like the original Black Panthers. And fuck anybody in the comments section who says that they are. There probably won't be anybody in the comment section, but whatever. I'm back. And that's all that matters. I'm going to grind at this shit until there's no grind left. Because I'm joining this fight because I got something to say. And such shit that needs to be said. The looters and rioters were nothing. Rioters were nothing but opportunistic thieves. That's all they are. They're not hurt. They're not noble. They're not stressed. You want stress, motherfuckers? If you want some fucking stress, try having, try going to work every day. You think you're fucking tough? You think you're fucking thug life? Get a goddamn job. See if you could do that. Go to work every day. Asshole. I just got off work. And I guess that's it. I've been meaning to get back with you guys all 50 of you for a minute, but I've just been so bogged down. But now that I am back, they shortened our hours at work and changed the whole schedule as a result. So I was working nights and trying to sleep during the day. So they really got me thrown off. But I am back, and I am back to stay. And I am so they say here in Chicago, everything's going to be open back up tomorrow. And Uncle Gremlin Lightfoot says so. Maybe all of this shit will be over by tomorrow, and people will move on with their shit, and we can get on with our lives. It's not a great thing that happened, and I know that I don't think that it means that the world, specifically our country, is defeated. I don't think that it makes America a bad place. I don't think that it's about that the racial climate is, it's just people stirring the pot. A lot of politicians that are making money off this. I'm sure Black Lives Matter, those posers are selling a bunch of t-shirts and shit. So, racism and oppression is big business to some of these people, and they need, they need to go to work. That cop was a fuckface that did that to George Floyd. But the four of them are the only ones that should pay. And the only ones who should be breaking shit and rioting are George Floyd. I hope I didn't say George Foreman earlier. If I did, I correct myself. George Floyd's family are the only ones who should be breaking shit. The rest of you, shame on you. And I hope karma finds your sorry ass and breaks your fucking TV. Get fucked. You ain't shit. And you are more harm to our people than good. Some of you niggas need to fucking go. Because you're holding us back. Those neighborhoods might not ever come back. When one of those teens wants a summer job and businesses haven't come back to that neighborhood, maybe they end up selling weed, maybe they end up taking a 2 bus and trains to get where they want to go. But when they could have worked across the street, did you ever think about that? And another thing, and this is to Black Lives Matter. How come no one ever hears from you assholes? I should be hearing from you jerks on TV. You should be on TV every weekend protesting the violence here in Chicago. Because every morning I turn on the fucking news, 4 or 5 people murdered, usually black, usually have murdered one another. And I don't hear a peep from you assholes until a white person take it. I guess black lives only matter if someone white takes the life. And on that note, I'll end this shit. And I will say, I am Cliff London, uncensored. I am back. And remember, like Eddie Furlong says in Terminator, there is no fate but what we make for ourselves. And studio gangsters suck. Good morning. Have a good day. My name is Cliff London.